Welcome to Double Dose of Raw Talk Podcast, your weekly dose of many discussions and opinions, a show where we get comfortable being uncomfortable. And remember, no topic is off limits. Now let's talk about it. It's like the cutest thing ever. You see this, right?
I love it.
I
I'm
can't.
waiting.
It's like 5 seconds. Like you're gonna take
Yeah.
when you position your phone for a selfie and it's either 3
Yeah,
seconds
yeah,
or 10
yeah.
seconds.
It reminds
So
me
you're
of
like really
film,
quick
like
going,
when you're ready for the action.
yeah. It's like, oh
When
my
you're
God, I
ready
got
for the
5
director to say
seconds.
action.
I know. I found my water just now. I was like, wait, where's my water?
I'm gonna need my water.
I am gonna need my water because the way I've been talking these past few weeks, it's been ridiculous. And I've been, and I talk. No, I talk, and I could
Oh gosh.
talk. I used to get in trouble all the time in school for talking, but
Really?
it's just
But
all
that's who
the
you are.
talking. It's just,
Do you ever want to be
I
like,
just
I
don't.
don't want to talk. I just want to be quiet and I don't want to talk
I
to anyone.
don't. And lately I am just
Interesting.
quiet,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if I want to highlight this here, but I'm going to do it because the truth
Okay.
is the person who probably going to tune in and he's going to expect for me to mention it. I got into like the only argument with like one of my brothers, by which the only
Mm-hmm.
one that was arguing was me, because I was the one that was cursing and like yelling, because I was just like, I just had enough of like his bullshit, because I just don't agree
Yeah.
with the things he was saying, right? And I wasn't saying like what he wanted me to say, like, in good old fashioned siblings are alike type of thing, like,
Oh yes.
yeah,
And you
and like one of
clash
those.
and yep.
And
Bump
I've been
heads.
trying to like avoid conversations because I just know we never agree. And I've been trying because it's bad enough. I'm like maneuvering this whole space at like my job, right? Because it's part of my role, right? And then certain
Exactly.
things at the workplace can get frustrating and just like,
Mhm.
a little tense sometimes trying to meet a deadline. So I'm already
Mhm.
doing all this like talking over there. And I was just not trying to do it over here. And then I just snapped. And I was just like, this is
Hey.
like sleep deprivation. It's like it's giving, will never agree with you, and we're always gonna fight for the rest of our
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
So somebody's gonna get it. And so somebody got it,
So
and
he
that was
got
the
it.
end of that. I got
Hey, at
no
least you let it
excuse.
out.
Yeah, at least.
That's
I
what's
did like
important.
text. Yeah, I texted my therapist and I said, I think I need like a quick session. And I know like I'm supposed to give you like, the full amount of time because that's what I'm paying for. But I
Yeah.
don't have all that time, but I need like a quick
I need
fix.
something.
So
Yeah.
I need something. And so she was just like, okay, next time, you're very emotionally aware. I just need you to be a little bit more emotionally aware. She's like, I need you to just, gather yourself and just, and I
Okay.
was like, no, I know. And, but, for the record, if my brother's listening, this is not an apology. This is just me sharing with my audience that somebody got it, because that was it. And there we are. Here we are today. So, welcome back, guys, to another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. I am your host, Ms. D, and I have been
Woo-hoo.
gone. Damn, that just reminded me of Little Kim song, "Been gone for a minute, now I'm back with the chopper." That's my girl.
You should
But,
put that in the background.
I should, I'm gonna play it.
Right?
But I've been a little off the radar for the last couple of weeks because, if anybody just been following for so long and tuning in for so long, but if we have any new listeners, your girl's doing the damn thing here on the podcast, and there's a whole career behind me, and I just
Mhm.
haven't lost a passion for it, so I haven't walked away from it. I wonder if that day will ever come that I wanted to. But I sometimes wonder, like, when people make that decision, and I can't imagine it's like ever the easiest decision to make.
Right.
But I always wonder what that feels like to like not lose the passion. That sounds so sad, but more so igniting a passion somewhere else where you're just like, you know,
I see
you
where you come.
drift
Yeah,
towards
you
the other
drift.
side,
But I feel
Yeah.
like sometimes, like, you know how they say sometimes people come to you for a reason, a season, or for a
Mm,
lifetime. So
yeah.
sometimes there's passions that come to you and gifts that you have that you're like, you know
Right.
what? I embraced this gift. I did what
Yeah.
I needed to do. It did for me what it needed to do. And maybe
Mm,
I'm gonna try something else,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That makes sense. That
So
does.
I kind of see it like that. It's not like you're giving up because you already tried it and you gave it your all.
Right.
And maybe, you know what, you want to try something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if you decide, hey, I
Right.
want to go back to it, you already have the tools that you
This
need
is
to
true.
go back to
This
it,
is
you
very
know?
true. So in my industry, I was
Mhm.
explaining to my guests, and you guys are you're gonna get the introduction. See, this is what happens when Miss D just like has a good vibe with the guests. We just dive right into conversation.
That's
And
right.
lately, I just like we skipped the whole intro, but we're gonna do the introduction a
Okay.
little bit. The point is here, though, I'm a little bit of a masochist, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because in my career, right,
Mhm.
the tense moments, like those tense moments where there's like a deadline or like
Yeah.
what is auditing for accountants, right?
Yeah.
I'm the person, I'm the lead who handles that, right?
Mm.
And so, as much as this is like a lot of work, and I
Yeah.
reflected through this with a colleague, one very late night, it was almost like 11:30, I think,
Oh, wow.
and we had like the place shut down. We were like the only ones in the building, right? But essentially, we were just like, we still feel the adrenaline. Like we still
Mm.
have that drive, like we're about to meet this deadline. We're getting this done. Yes, we got this. Oh, well, we don't. Oh, well, let's prepare for the answer. What are we gonna say? Like it's kind of there's still
Okay.
excitement behind it. And
Got
so
it.
I've come to the point where it's like, I know the day I no longer feel that excitement. That's the day I
Mhm.
have to ask myself, all right, well, what are you doing? I'm
Okay.
still
Yep.
there. I'm
Yep.
still there, and I've shared it here since I started this new pathway in this career. That
Mhm.
although I've known this part of the field, is my first time being in the front and center of it. So it's a whole
Okay.
other level of adrenaline. It's a whole other level of excitement, and it feels kind of nice a little bit. I say this very humbly to be able to call shots to an extent,
Hey.
and yeah, it's a little different. So as much as your girl's stressed out and I'm sneaking off on Monday nights to have an espresso martini with a friend, unexpected Monday night dates or whatever,
Yeah.
um coffee's become my best friend, and I needed to
Mm.
take a couple of weeks off from the podcast because I needed to bring the right energy here. And
Mm.
so today, to bring the right energy to the microphone and this platform, we have an amazing guest here, which I'm so
Oh,
excited
thank
to
you.
finally have. I'm like really excited here.
I know, me
Um,
too.
he's like we're like cheesing. Like I think this is
I
gonna
know,
be part of
right?
the video clip I post. It's incredible. A long, long time ago, I don't. You know what? It feels like it was just yesterday, but
Right?
right? It feels
When
like it was
was
just
this?
yesterday. But like months
Let me even
ago,
check. Yeah.
I had one half of a particular podcast come on the show. This one half gave us a little insight on how he is a sancocho. And it's like a classic episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. You know what? I think in this moment right here, we're going to insert that part of that audio.
This
But 'cause it's like classic. People were like, "What the fuck?"
What?
No, he did not just compare himself to a
I
sancocho. It
know,
was like
I
the
know,
funniest shit ever.
I know. That was
It
so
was the
funny.
best. And so like since then, I've actually been featured on your
You and our
podcast as
podcast.
well.
Yes.
Yes, which was a pretty dope conversation and just such a good
Mhm.
opportunity to come on your platform. And so today we have the other half to complete this amazing podcast who shines a lot of light on just, I want to say, very extraordinary people that I don't think we
Mhm.
ever get so many chances to just learn from and to be intrigued by. And I think that's something we
Right.
need a lot more of these days in the world we live in. And so
Definitely.
kudos to you for your podcast, but I no
Thank
longer
you.
do the
Thank you so much.
introductions. I like my guests to do their formal introductions, who they are,
Oh,
and what's if they have a podcast, what's their podcast. So
okay.
please, would you kindly introduce yourself to Double Dose of Raw Talk listeners?
Thank you, Mrs. D. First of all, I'm humbly thankful that you invited me to be your guest. I'm so excited to be here. And just to start off, my name is Alexandra. I go by Spiritual Cloud as well. And
Mhm.
the podcast that I'm the other half of is the Win and Cloud podcast.
Yes.
And as Mrs. D said, we highlight the lives of different people from all walks of life. And we just like to share their journeys, their challenges, their struggles, what they went through. And as for me, I'm a woman. I'm a mix of everything. I'm still learning and growing each and every day of my life. I'm a
Mm.
mother. I am a wife. I'm a daughter. I'm an aunt. I'm a godmother. I'm an artist. I'm
Same.
a creator. I also have a day job that I work,
Yeah.
and I'm just, I always say I'm a spiritual being because I'm here to learn and grow, to become better within myself, to be a great teacher to my daughter because I know that I am her first teacher in this lifetime, and I just want to provide all the tools that I can for her so that she can be the best person that she can in this lifetime.
Amen. I loved everything you just listed. First of all, I would never
Thank
be
you.
that good to list all the things I believe I do and am. That was amazing. That
Thank
was
you.
just amazing because she's right. That's exactly everything that you encompass and you embody. And so again, this is like the first time I get to have like a one-to-one conversation,
That's
but
right.
most importantly, we get to learn so much about people when we are just
Mm,
tuning into an episode on a podcast. And so
that's right.
I genuinely feel like I know you and I know your husband,
Mhm.
just through the podcasting space and so much of the creative space,
Mhm.
with YouTube and
That's right.
just
We also have
the
a web series. I didn't say that.
yes, we can't
DAD-rahpy,
forget.
FYI.
That's right. That's right. It's just there's just so much you could really learn through others, and
Yeah,
that's something that I don't take for granted.
that's right.
I like to be able to know what I believe in and
Mhm.
stand on my own 2 feet with that, but I've learned to see the other sides of the same story or similar stories. I've learned to
Mhm.
see it through other people's lens or hear it through other people's voice. And I
Mhm.
think there's so much you could really learn from that helps you grow from, if that makes any
Right.
sense.
Yes,
You
a lot
know?
of sense,
So
right.
super excited for you to come talk to me for
Me
this
too.
episode. Yes. So there are definitely some things that I want to highlight during this
Okay.
episode. One of them is definitely us as women, as Latina women, shining through our passions and creative offerings, right? And
Mhm.
I definitely want to highlight what that looks like for you.
Okay.
Your offerings and just being able to be who you are in every single title, right? And
Mhm.
this classic balancing act that we do, but also staying true to yourself and what that generally looks like, right? Because I think sometimes for us as women, for one,
Yeah.
and as I said before, even as Latina women, even in our Latino community, it's real easy
Mhm.
for us just amongst ourselves to get lost in the sauce. I'm gonna be
Oh,
honest,
yeah. Yeah.
it's real easy, and so there's several things I want to highlight here today, but as always, we kick off Double Dose Raw Talk with a segment called Rawmess of the Week, and so this
Ooh.
is where I get a little messy sometimes, maybe a little petty or shady, but today. I know I'm terrible. It's just horrible. Listen, I'm human, okay? Shit happens. But but this one is definitely a little bit messy, but most
Okay.
definitely raw. And I always feel that a lot of people say, oh, well, you can't really speak on that because you don't know. Bullshit. We're people, we have opinions, and we can
Mhm.
see or we can hear, we can learn of stories and give our 2 senses, whether we're asked about it or not. But I love to look at what quote unquote reality TV looks like, because when we're looking at this or when we're watching this for the grace of whether it's entertainment or even to just really see some wild shit someone might go through. Because here's the
Mhm.
thing with reality TV. There's the part where it's TV and there's the part where it is a reality. There's things
That's
that is
right.
not fully scripted. We
Mhm.
all get curveballs in life. We don't expect something changing in what we know to be a normal life. Anything can
Mhm.
happen at any given moment. I speak on this not just on what reality TV is or just us as humans, but also working in healthcare for 15 years. I have seen
Mm. Hmm.
what happens when one day it's one thing and the other
It's
day, the
another.
next day, it's a completely other thing. And sometimes it's great news and sometimes it's not,
Bad.
right?
Yeah.
And so every day fucking counts. And so
That's
one of the
right.
things I wanted to highlight here, if you know me, I love messy reality TV. But some of the things that I do like recently is that they're bringing up a lot of topics that are very, very real. And I do
Mhm.
feel that there's a sense of vulnerability coming out a lot more. Now, whether we are here to be empathetic towards these people or not, being if we follow them and we know their story, that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about a little bit of a topic that came up and actually came up between yesterday and today.
Mhm.
with a reality TV called Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And it's with
Okay.
regards to Erica Mena, which is funny because I don't know if you know who Erica Mena is, but
Probably by
she's like
face.
this. Yeah, she's like this like once upon a time video vixen, now like this
Mm,
public figure VH1 type of vixen. I don't know what we're gonna call her, but
got it.
she's a fellow Scorpio, as your girl must see. And today I think it's her birthday.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, yeah, shout out to her. But they showed a clip that was televised in the season, but this actually happened to her in her life where
Okay.
she was married to I'm going to respectfully call him an artist, Safari, the rapper who was once Nicki Minaj's ex-boyfriend.
Oh,
They're
okay.
yeah,
Got it.
they're divorced now and they went through a
Mhm.
really horrific custody divorce battle. And so they
Wow.
televised the outcome of it.
Oh,
And one of
wow.
the things that came out from this divorce decision, now I am a divorcee, guys, so this is
Oh,
why this
okay.
is a
I didn't know
bit
that. Okay.
yeah, I am. This
Okay.
is a bit relevant, right?
Okay.
Um, God, I hope my son's father's not listening to this and he's like, "Damn, you're gonna put all our business out there." But um sorry. But they're divorced and
Okay.
the outcome was she was able to have what I believe is the physical legal custody of the two children. Okay.
Okay.
But he also did not have to pay, if not any child support, very little child support. I still haven't watched like the final episode.
To know, like,
It's just
okay, the
yeah, to
details.
know exactly the amount or to confirm it.
Mhm.
And the reason why I wanted to highlight this is because there was a lot of scrutiny, in the comment section of all these shared
Mm.
postings of all this like scandal, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there were people who were saying, well, that's what you get. Like, you wanted full custody. Like, why would you even get child support? Other people were like, you make good money. Why do you even need him to give any more? Y'all probably
Mhm.
make like around the same amount. So it should be fair
Mhm.
share.
Mhm.
Other people were like, it doesn't matter. She has full custody. Those are two babies. They eat. There's daycare. There's this. Like, he should pay a fair amount, regardless of what she makes. There was just so much of a debate in the comments. And so
Yeah.
for me, it was like PTSD for 2.5 seconds. I was like, "Oh my god, it's bringing me
I
back to
went
my
to
divorce." Wow. I
wait.
don't think I'm over it. No, I'm
Oh my
joking. It
god.
wasn't that bad, but so I'm not laughing at her
Wait a
pain,
minute, let's
but
revisit. Go back to your
let's just say,
ex-husband. Hold
yeah,
on.
I was about to text I was totally gonna text him. I was like, "Wait a minute, we need to have a discussion. This is not over." I'm not over it. No, but but what it comes down to, I kind of for 2.5 seconds did also sit in on both sides of the
Mhm.
courtroom, let's say, right?
Mhm.
For to paint a picture here.
Yeah.
Because 13 years ago, when that was me, I was only sitting on one side of the courtroom. And I was very
Mm.
like, I want custody, but you still
Everything.
gotta pay child support,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
you could
Mhm.
just give up your rights and screw child support. Like, it's either one or the other. And I fought. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, when I tell you my divorce
Mhm.
cost more than my wedding. Okay, because I fought,
Oh,
because I was
damn.
not giving way, giving the
Mm.
circumstance, giving how we broke up, giving just like the all around mess that was involved. There was
Mhm.
other parties involved. Like it was just really, really, really messy. Like going through a
Mm.
divorce is a messy thing. And
Wow.
I never wish that upon anyone. If it's for me, I want everyone who is married to always work through their love and their
Mhm.
partnership and then their companionship and always fight very, very hard to the very
Mm.
end to always keep their marriage is strong, because going through something like that is really traumatizing and
Wow.
heartbreaking at the end. It's a loss. It's like having a
Yeah.
loss.
It's
And
like you're grieving as in you grieve a death, but you're grieving a
yes,
partnership and
yes,
the situation, the whole process of it, you know what I mean?
all of it. It's like you're grieving
Yeah.
to the moment where you're really gonna grieve. Like
Mm.
it's the whole thing. And
Wow.
so I wanted to bring this to the table because today in
Mhm.
2022, when I sat there, I kind of had to be very neutral in that moment.
Mm.
And this might
Interesting.
not be by popular opinion, but for 2.5 seconds, I said, damn, but if she does have full custody, you know, he doesn't have them. So, you know, how much are
I
you
s
both making?
I see what yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're
Yeah, yeah,
fighting
yeah.
for this, right? Looking back to when I
You're
fought
gonna
for
take
this.
responsibility for it, right?
Yeah, and it's not to
Mhm.
be insensitive to her because there's a lot about her that I do love about her, right?
Mhm, mhm.
But just looking at them from a human lens, just looking at them
Yeah,
as, ex-husband, ex-wife, because there's so many of us in those shoes. Maybe not with the same amount of money in the bank, but there's so
exactly.
many of us in those same
Yeah.
shoes. And so I had to ask myself really quick. I said to myself, how different is it from state to state, a lot of these laws when it comes to
Mhm.
custody and child support, right? But then also, what is fair when we think of the life people lead in co-parenting? And one of the things that I realized most recently is that even when you are married, there is a sense of co-parenting. There's a
Yeah.
sense of percentages of
Teamwork.
how much
Yeah.
we're both giving to the babies we have. You
Yeah.
know, if you have multiple children, all right, well, you cover him on this, and I'll cover
Yeah.
her on this. All it is that you're still together and you're under one roof, and that's beautiful. But I
Mhm.
feel like there is still a sense of child support to the children aside from paying our mortgage, paying our rent,
Yeah.
and having to decide and have those discussions a lot more
Definitely.
amicable, but
Mhm.
of what co-parenting looks like, a lot more
That's
amicable
right.
because you love each
Yeah.
other,
Yeah, of course.
and I wanted a little bit of the insight of
Mhm.
yours, Alex, to this
Okay.
topic because I don't know if there was anything wrong in that moment to say he's not gonna pay that much because you guys, let's say, make almost the same, or you, Miss
Mhm.
Eric, I'm gonna make more than him
Mhm.
because fair is fair.
Mhm.
And thinking about it from a bigger perspective, I don't know if there's really much of a difference other than just a piece of paper saying we're not divorced as opposed to being married, but that co parenting and child support is
Mhm.
equal to both sides, whether married or not.
Yeah.
So I wanted a little bit of insight from you as to, I'm gonna call it a messy topic because I know some listeners are gonna be like, bitch, what the fuck are
What?
you
Fuck it.
talking about? So,
I'm just giving you my opinion
I'm sorry.
of people who
2022
I have
crazy is
no
very
idea.
different.
So
2022
you
Daisy
want
is
to know
very different.
what do I think about like what the judge decided between like if that he pays less than her?
Yeah, yeah. Honest thoughts, honest, truthful
So
thoughts
like
on
I
that.
don't know anything about the story, but based on what you told me and I don't know these people. I don't know what they're going through in the background like you mentioned. But like she has full custody. If they both make good money, I don't see the issue of who pays more than the other. If he's
Mm,
a good father, he's going to provide for those kids no matter what. Whether or not the judge says you're going to pay less. At the end of the day, if
right,
he is a father, he might give more than what the judge said, depending on what he does, right? If he's a true
right.
father and he's going to be a part of their life. So I feel like no judge should decide who gives how much if when it comes to your children if you're going to be 100% there for your children. You know what I mean?
That is also very valid.
That
Yes,
that's what I feel,
absolutely.
and, I mean, God forbid, like, if what if she stops working, like, what happens then? Or vice
Mm,
versa, like, you gotta think about that situation too, and it's your children, you can't put money on your children no matter what until the
mm-hmm,
day you die, those are your children, so that's
mm-hmm,
what I think about that, you know,
mm-hmm.
to be
And
honest.
I wanna add to that point on that, and again, I'm not putting all his business out there, but
I know.
we've my if he listens, he's gonna be so mad at me. He's gonna text me.
"Bitch, what the
Or
fuck
his
you
wife. I
doing?"
mean, I get along with his wife. His wife and I,
Okay,
like, get along way better than he and I do. But,
that's funny.
we've had to have tough conversations like that. There's been changes
Yeah,
in our lives, right? And so just one
yeah,
of the things that I really struggle with, and he knows this because I actually expressed it to him recently, right?
mhm,
And I think I didn't go in depth sharing it here, but I feel comfortable doing so now.
yeah,
Never mind the money and never mind the child
mhm,
support. It's been new things now that we're going through with my son being older and having other
that's right.
experiences that I wish his father was physically here in the state and a lot
Exactly.
closer to
Yep.
be able to be more involved in, because it's become a little bit difficult for me as I am a
Mm.
woman and I don't know what a
Mhm.
young man experiences, and so things like
Mhm.
that, right? But
Mhm.
even when the topic of conversation comes up with child support, there's had to be a lot of patience from me. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not easy. I just said I'm a Scorpio. Shout out to all of the
Yeah.
Scorpios. And I'm patience is a virtue, but I'm not that easy. But
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what I've always asked for is the communication piece. Let me
Of
know if
course.
anything is gonna shift or change. It's not me being all up in your business, but to your point, what God forbid, what if I was in a bad situation and or
Yeah.
he, we one of us has to shift a little bit
That's
more
right.
and plan differently. And those things can be stressful. And so I do
Mhm.
empathize, particularly with Erica, because it was televised her reaction. She was just so emotional,
Um,
saying that all of the burden falls on her. But at the end of the day, there's a certain logistic to this, right?
mhm.
I agree. I don't think, things like that should necessarily be at the hands of a judge, because I would love to think that parents could come together to an understanding, right?
Yeah.
Of how we're going to co-parent and support, this child or children that we share. But
Mhm.
because that's not how life works, and because every state has different
Has a
laws.
different
Sweet
laws.
Lord
Yeah.
Jesus, it's like the
Oh
most
my
annoying thing
goodness.
to me, to be honest with you.
It's not
But
it's
this is why I'm only gonna have children in New York, because I can't do other states. Like, no. Like, I once had a scare, Lord Jesus, all the way in Florida. And
Oh,
when I said,
no.
"Oh my God," the first thing I did was look at
You were like
child
you're like,
support
"I'm
laws of
keep"
Florida. That's traumatizing. This is very
Really? I don't
traumatizing to
even
me.
know.
I
I
d
don't
I
even
stopped
know.
reading after,
Oh my
like, line
god,
number
that
2.
it's so
I
bad.
was so stressed, and then when I saw it was not a oops, oh Lord, the way I went to church, girl, I can't
Oh,
even explain.
wow.
I was so
Oh my
grateful that it was
gosh.
not that. It was just, turning 30 or something like that, I don't know. But,
I have a question. If you give birth in New York and you move to another state, it'll still abide by New York rules? How does that work?
that's actually a very good question. So I believe it works. For those of you who might be interested, it works.
Give us an answer, lawyers.
Yes,
Right
it
back.
works, I believe, where the child resides.
Oh, so you can give birth, it doesn't matter where the child was born,
Is
it's
where the
where the
child
child
lives.
resides. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so all of this to say, y'all,
Jeez.
co-parenting is a concept that is done whether you're in a divorce or not, I should say, whether you're in a
That's
marriage or
true.
not.
Yeah.
The decisions to provide for a child happens either way. And so sometimes we do have to be a bit more realistic to current situations.
Mhm.
Even for me, there's been a sense of like, well, damn, I'm in a really good position now. Am I supposed to take that initiative and have that conversation with my son's father and say, well, hey, it's not how it was before. It's a little different now.
Yeah.
He's definitely attempted having that conversation with me.
Mhm.
We have talked about it. There hasn't been no definitive answer on it. I'm going to be honest about that.
Okay.
I get the whole idea that there should be support, and I do support that there should be support. I
Mhm.
also just want to believe that, especially in the world of celebrity life, where you guys are like in the public eye, you're making money, you're flashing all this money,
That's
that
right.
it could go both ways. It could have been that judge saying, well, you're going to pay an arm and a leg in child support despite them living
Mhm.
with their mother. And then it'll
Mhm.
be a whole other narrative, right?
That's right.
But,
Yeah.
I couldn't help myself but bring this to the table because of those comments. Just like to
Um,
see how so
what
many
people
people
think.
look at it in so many different ways. And it was not just like the men rooting the men. No, no. There was some men talking about in favor of her. There was some men talking
Okay.
in favor of him. And the same
Mm.
applied with the women. Some of the women were
Same thing.
like, oh my God, girl, like, I'm so sorry. Other women were like, I mean, she's pretty famous. She got money.
Yeah.
Like, they was just like, all right, stop crying.
You'll
Like,
be
you're fine.
fine.
You're making
You'll be
money.
fine.
You'll be okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Okay.
yeah. So I just, I wanted to open up this episode with a little bit of a
Mm.
mess in that topic, because at the end of the day, this is something that happens, as I always say to the regular,
All the
regular,
time.
schmegular people, all the time. I just,
Yeah.
my bank account is not as heavy as theirs.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah. And so we're dealing with that. We're dealing with that in the real world. And, in the in the spirit of what this conversation is also going to be about, which does highlight, childhood,
Mhm.
highlights, different family dynamics,
Mhm.
highlights, our Latino community. I want to be fair. We see, I know they say divorce rates are up, marriages are down. Listen, we see all of it, all of the mix
Yeah,
in our community as
definitely.
well, and
Mhm.
we've seen so many different narratives and stories when it comes to different families, and
Mhm.
definitely want to dive right into that. So we're going to go into the as raw as it gets and highlight exactly how
Mm.
you opened up the show: a woman, a mother, a wife. I'm missing a whole bunch of titles there that you threw
It's
my way,
fine.
but a
It's
creative,
all
a
God.
business, a partner. We like to talk about what that looks like.
Okay.
And so I want to not only talk about what that looks like, but
Mhm.
what does it feel
Mm.
like? Okay, because
That's a good
nobody
one.
really likes to talk about what it feels like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And you
yeah.
being someone that is so very much so spiritual, and,
Mhm.
and you're someone who captures the feeling of it all, what it
Mhm.
is from deep inside. I want to know what that feeling is like for you as a wife,
Mhm.
as a woman, as a mother, as a creative business
Mhm.
partner, and so on.
Mhm.
What does that feeling look like for you today?
Wow. Oh, that feeling is so colorful. It's a mix of everything. It's a mix of gratitude, love, a mix of anxiety, a
Mm,
mix of security, insecurity, feeling challenged, as well as seeing how strong you are. I
yeah.
feel like this journey with everything encompassed from when I was single, just worrying about myself, to
Yeah.
now, it's just shown me how strong I am, and how honest I'm able to be with myself at this current state.
Mm,
That in the past, wasn't, I was aware of it, but I didn't have the tools that I needed to be more honest with myself, to be more vocal about it. I would keep
mm,
it within myself or use it with my creativity. That's how dancing and acting and writing came about, because that was my way of expressing myself, of how I felt, or how I was able to express what I felt. And now I'm in a stage of my life where um I've realized that even communicating vocally is a struggle. And it
mm.
has been a struggle, but it's better now because I'm able to put into words how I feel and where I allowed myself to be, if that answers your
Man,
question.
it
Yeah.
does. It
Mhm.
does. Oh, that was very deep,
Mm.
actually. I
I'm a
I
deep
think
person.
you a deep person. I mean, I
I
knew this.
am a
That's why I
deep
asked the question.
and
In
I don't have
case
a
my listeners
problem.
did,
Yeah, right.
in case my listeners
And I
didn't
have
know.
no problem. If you ask, like, I'm a quiet, like I'm quiet. I'm not a talkative person. But if
Mhm.
you're someone who approaches me and asks me a question, I'm gonna answer it. I'm
Yes,
just not gonna
absolutely.
volunteer the information, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. How
Yeah.
long does it take you to observe people? Do you observe
Oh, I'm
people?
very observant. I'm very quiet. I'm very observant. That's why my spiritual animal is an owl, because I'm very observant. I watch what
Yes.
people do, how they react. Then I can speak. Yeah.
Yes, that is
Mhm.
amazing. I have a
Mhm.
fascination with owls. I am very much so an observer. It's just my face doesn't look friendly, but I am very
Right.
much so an observer.
Me too. Me too. So back in the day when I used to go to parties to dance, when you dance merengue,
Yeah.
like they used to be like, ¿Por qué tú tienes la cara tan like why are you mad in Spanish? ¿Pero por qué tú
Why
estás
you
brava? Porque, and I'm like, am I really gonna be dancing like this
Mhm.
the whole time? Like really? I'm like, it's just my normal face. I look pissed off. Like they're like, you look like you're gonna kill
Same.
somebody.
Same. Oh my God. First of
But
all,
I'm
if
like,
I'm
that's like my
dancing,
resting face. That's my resting face. It's
right.
a resting bitch face,
Yes.
but I'm not
Yes, the
mad.
resting bitch face. I'm not mad. No, if I would come
I
into the
just
house, it'd be like, ¿Y qué te pasa? ¿Qué
yeah.
pasó? What happened? Who did it? I'd be like, what was wrong? what, what's wrong with her? Or if they didn't want to ask me, they'll ask my other, what's wrong with her?
Yeah. Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah. I'm like, but
I'm
why
just,
don't you
I'm
just ask
fine.
me?
I'm fine. Nothing is
Yep.
wrong. And for the record, when we're dancing merengue bachata, Okay, I commend anyone who's like smiling, cheesing. I don't got time because I gotta
I'm
look right.
fo
And so I have to be very like focused. And so my
I'm
face has
into
to be like
my
very like,
music, like, I'm
you
feeling it.
know,
I'm not into,
like,
like, "Oh, am I in a parade like Miss Universe?"
no, no, tampoco.
No.
But I only if you get a few drinks in me, like then you gonna say first of all, I'm gonna be singing. I'm gonna grab someone's
Yeah,
microphone. I'm
exactly.
gonna be singing like my man just broke up with me yesterday, and I don't even have a man, but that's exactly how I'm gonna sing because
Yep.
that's the feeling I'm gonna be in that moment. That's what that is. I'm just saying. But yeah, no, I definitely, I asked the question about the observing because I do
Mhm.
believe that there's so much to, being quiet, observing and
Mm.
analyzing those feelings that you
Oh,
get in
yeah.
that moment, in that
Mhm.
space with other people, people you may know, people you may not know. And
Yeah.
and those feelings when you're so in tune with that, it's matter of fact, you know how we say like, oh, trust your intuition. True. But you also got to pay attention to that feeling someone gives you, to that feeling in that
Mhm.
moment that you get. It's kind of like when you hear people say, "Oh, I have a bad feeling," or "I have a good
Oh,
feeling
yeah.
about this."
That's a warning. That's your
Like,
spirit telling you, "Boop, bounce."
yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. And so that's where I wanted to highlight, what does this life feel like for you? Because I think it goes deeper than that, right?
Mhm.
How has it been your journey being
Mhm.
so spiritual for
Mhm.
you?
Mhm.
I mean, listen, Alex is not gonna take us from like the first moment she
No,
had a
I'm not.
spiritual moment in like kindergarten or something like that.
No.
No, but we need to encompass this a little bit and cover it so that we can
Exactly.
understand why the spiritual journey is so important, because I'm
Mm.
very much so in that space. Don't get it
Yeah.
twisted. The resting bitch face is there, and
Yeah.
I already admit it. I could bark, right?
Yeah.
But I'm very much so in a space now where I'm trusting what
Mhm.
certain situations feel
Yeah.
like, how others make me feel in a
Mm.
given moment to help me with my journey in just
Mm.
creating that safe space for myself. Not waiting for someone to come and be a hero and create it for me. That's my
Exactly.
responsibility with me, right?
Mhm.
It's my responsibility to do that for my child because
That's
he's still a
right.
minor. He lives here. It's my
Mhm.
responsibility to teach him how to do that for himself,
Mm.
and for me
Mm.
to also understand what that's like for him, right? And so I want to know what that has looked like for you, how this spiritual journey has been for you from your very
Wow.
first spiritual moment.
Wow. That's a good question. My first spiritual moment. I
Yeah.
feel like I've always, of course, I grew up Catholic.
Mhm.
My mom,
Same.
it started with my
Mhm.
mom. I grew up Catholic, but I always felt this connection to something higher. At the time, of course, I called him God and I went to church because that's all I knew. But I
Mhm.
always knew deep down inside within me that there was something powerful out there, that we're not alone, and that is we're protected and guided. That I always
Mm.
knew. And going to church, I found that peace, but not through the priest. It was just of the peace I felt, and when I prayed, I felt like that's where I found my
Mhm.
connection more. So I went along with, the church, whatever. But then at one point I was just like, when I was a teenage, I remember when I was getting older, I was just like, there's something missing about me. I'm
Mm.
here going to church. I'm faithful, whatever. I know there's a higher power, but I'm not changing within me. I'm angry.
Mhm.
I feel guilt. I feel all these feelings. And that's going to a place is not helping me. It's making it worse because
Mm.
when you follow religion, it's, you either feel guilty or, oh, I did something bad or this and that.
Right.
You're questioning everything and you're not really true to yourself. So I was questioning it a lot. I was like, why am I feeling this way? And until I met my spiritual teacher, who's Guru Enlightenment, and I'm
Mhm.
sure my husband mentioned her. And
Yes.
at before I met her, I started just doing self journey books. I was an actor, of course, so just started doing things to discover who and what I was. And when I met
Mhm.
her through my spiritual sister, Glenn, Warrior and Spiritual Tree,
Mhm.
I had a workshop, she had a workshop, and everything she was saying was like common sense to me. I was like, I told her, "This is all common sense." Like things like, know how to pay your bills, don't use credit cards, there's a higher power, you have guardian, you have angels, just little simple things that's just common sense. And I told her, I feel
Mm,
like I was meant to be here and I feel like I know you. And ever since I started that
mm,
journey with her, she helped me find my truth. She
mm,
helped me, and not by giving me the answers. It was me putting in the work. Me looking at myself in the mirror and being honest with myself and not being afraid to put in the work. Because the spiritual journey, yes, it's positive and you have a higher power, but it's a lot of work that you have to do within
mhm,
yourself. You have to be 1,000% honest with yourself, and you're going to cry and you're going to feel shitty, and you're going to question things, but it's the most beautiful thing that you can do to yourself. That you can just work on yourself is the most important thing that you can do for yourself. And ever since I met
mhm,
her, I just, oh my God, my world changed. She also knows about past lives and more, and your spirit doesn't lie to her because it just tells everything about you. So she guided me to where I am now, and she's still my teacher. I still see her. My husband and I see her for couple session as well. So she she has helped me to where I am now, and that's the most powerful thing in my life is my spirituality.
and I love it. I love that you said that because there is a difference. I didn't know there was a difference
Yeah.
between, growing up in the church, growing up
Yeah.
Catholic, right? I
Yeah.
mean, La Chato, my mother, everybody knows she's La Chato. I was the girl, with the resting bitch face reading the scriptures at the mass. Like that was me. Cause I was
I
not happy to
know.
be there because it's kind of early.
Why?
Cause she would take me to like the first mass. Jesus Christ.
I joined the
Because
chorus. I was like, you know what? I have to do something creative, so I joined the chorus because I could
girl,
sing.
girl, if I could sing, like outside the shower, she probably would have put me in the chorus too.
Right.
Um, like it was no, I gotta keep you busy because the worst thing that ever happened was for her to find out I had a boyfriend. So I was definitely in the church once she found
Mm.
out I had a little boyfriend.
Oh,
But
wow.
there is a difference, and this is also something I've shared on this platform. I did share there was a point where I lost my faith, and I wanted to come back to my faith because what
Mm.
I realized in coming back to my faith was that very personal private moment with God where I would pray, and I remembered that when I would pray and I'm
Mhm.
back to my prayers, it has always brought me peace, and it has always
Mhm.
brought me that sense of peace. And so I love that you said that because that's what I discovered in coming back to my faith.
Mhm.
However, I never stopped praying. And I always used to say it's to the universe. And the reason why I used to
Mhm.
say is because I knew there was something deep inside me that knew there was something out there,
Mhm.
something bigger that was
Mhm.
listening, that
Mhm.
was understanding my feelings. And because I knew I had lost my faith in the fact of me questioning things
Yeah.
about from God, certain things that happened in life, not necessarily to me, but even to others that I would question.
Yeah.
I would always still pray to the universe, hey, universe, if you're listening to me, you know, I would still do that. And so
Mhm.
realizing now, coming back to my faith, coming back to my prayers, and I do pray every day. There's
Mhm.
times that I'm praying on my way to work, I'm
Yeah.
praying while I'm getting ready, I'm praying while I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I pray to God. But then there's also spiritually, I want to make sure that I'm there with myself. I want to make sure that I keep that relationship with me.
Mhm.
That's something that having a relationship with God is one thing, but then having a relationship with you is
Mhm.
another. And being that in tune
Mhm.
with the depthness of your soul, and I don't know if everyone is ever able to understand that or even has interest, but I know it's something that has worked for me
That's
ever since I've
wonderful.
discovered it most recently. Thank you. And it has helped. It has helped me even to the point of how much that aligns with my therapy. Being
Mhm.
able to be so self aware and emotionally aware,
Mhm.
being able to identify certain things that I would not have been able to identify 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even
Right.
as close as a year ago, because
Yeah.
things always happen. But I will say this, the thing that I was so stuck on for 6 years that I probably should have walked away from a long time ago, right? And I
Mhm.
didn't. That same thing happened to me a year ago, and I knew I had to get help
Right
the moment
away.
I was able to identify, right?
Mm,
And so it's even making that progress
that's right.
spiritually, emotionally, mentally. It's all of it in
Yeah.
one body, you know? And so I wanted to highlight what that spirituality looked like for you because I know how passionate you are with that, how true you
Mhm.
are to that.
Mhm.
You did mention
I wanted to,
you even,
sorry, not to cut you
yes,
off.
no,
I
go
wanted to
ahead, go ahead.
tell you a point about something you mentioned. I also, Guru had taught us that, and it made so much sense to me. She was like, if the higher power or God, whatever you want to call it, is your father, is your parent, wouldn't he or she want the same for its children? Just like you are a parent. So if
Mm,
you automatically love and believe in yourself, you're automatically believing in a higher power. It's just one
mm,
and one together. So I wanted to mention that to you because it's like you're working on you and believing in yourself and what is important to you is comes first. That already makes you believe in your higher power. And another thing she mentioned
absolutely.
is with the universe, the universe is yourself. You are your own universe. So when you pray out there and say universe, sometimes you have to be careful when saying, hey universe out there, give me this or give me that, because the universe is full of positive and negative. So you have to be careful where you
Oh,
throwing that out to, because you might throw it to something negative. So the best way for you to say it is my universe, because your universe is your universe and is your universe only, and nothing can touch it but you. So I wanted to share
I knew.
something that with you because I feel
Yes.
like it's very important, and it I just wanted to
Yes.
share it.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah, ask
welcome.
him to teach me, and I love it here because no, because it's true. Because you know what, I'm here just thinking. I'm assuming in speaking and
Right?
exactly what I'm saying that I am speaking to my own universe. But you're right. I've never said my universe. I'm just speaking
Yeah,
to the universe, and you are right. It is
exactly.
actual very true, and I do believe that the same way. There's good, there's bad. You're
Exactly.
absolutely right. And so you already know your girl's going to shift that because one thing about me, I'm all for the learning here and for more
Mhm.
guidance. I'm all for the more guidance. So for
Yeah,
me
same
to
here.
even hear you say that and offer me that to me, this is why I
Oh.
said everything happens in alignment and perfect timing to where I am today.
Mm.
Because Alex was supposed to come on here like over 8 months
A
ago.
long
Y'all,
time ago.
it didn't happen because we're a
It
mess.
wasn't meant. It
But
was meant
yeah,
to be now.
it just, this is the perfect timing. You
Mhm.
mentioned that you and your husband,
Mhm.
shout out, shout out there
I
because that was
went. I
I
went.
already cued in. I
He's
already cued in the little clip. Wait, is he there?
he's back there with my daughter, with our daughter.
He's co-parenting right now.
Yep.
He's co-parenting. That's the
He's
part. He not a
co-parenting.
babysitter, girl. He's co-parenting.
And she's
Okay.
probably running
Um.
around doing some God knows what.
Yep.
I'm kidding.
But you said that you go through the spiritual sessions with your husband,
Couples.
and then so
Yeah.
that's, yeah, the couples. So that was
Mhm.
also actually on one of the questions I wanted to ask. How does that feeling, how does that feeling take over you when it comes to that partnership piece of it, that companionship and that relationship through the
Mhm.
spiritual journey, and how
Mhm.
amazing is it that you are able to share that with your
Mhm.
husband? Because,
Mhm.
oh girl, I could tell you, I know people that are married but they're very much so at odds in a lot of things, including
Yeah.
spiritual journeys. how
Yeah.
how has that felt for you, and how has that been for you?
In the beginning, cause that's how we met actually through acting class, but then he eventually started seeing my teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I was seeing her before him, and
Mm-hmm.
we were hang out, and eventually when we got together after the 6 years that we got to know each other and be friends and everything, um, that's why our journey in getting married, dating, just meshed so well because we had that
Mm-hmm.
foundation. He worked
Mm-hmm.
on himself, not to say that your growth, your growth and what you have to do for yourself never stops, but he started that journey with her on his own and me too, and we were working on ourselves before we got together. And that's
Mm.
very important because once you get together there's more shit that comes. There's more shit. Then you have a
Yep.
kid, more shit that you
Shit.
thought, "Oh, I was like, oh, I thought I worked on this when I was single." And it came back, but it came back to the tenfold because it's somebody else is involved. So
Mhm.
imagine if you're not working on yourself and then you with a partner. Imagine if you don't even
Mm.
have some type of foundation, whether it's
Mhm.
therapy, whatever you decide to do, please work on yourself before you um join a partner or get in a
Yeah.
relationship. That's very important. So I feel
Yeah.
like those feelings I was so grateful that when we got married, we were in that we were on that level. And then of
Mm.
course marriage came in, child and all this, and then new things came for us.
Yeah.
Other old things that resurfaced from childhood came, within me and him.
Mm.
So it brought, of course, a lot of child. We clashed. There was moments that we disagreed on certain things, and sometimes we still do. But we communicate. That's the important thing. We communicate about it. We talk about it. We have a session with Guru, who helps us like see things different ways and gives
Mm.
us tools on how to work on it. Um, and it's a lot of work. It's I'm not gonna say is the most fun work, but it's not. But we do it because we love each other, we love ourselves, and we want to
Mm.
learn and grow. And that's what's
Mm.
important. Um,
Mm.
Everything requires work, and nothing is easy in this life, including working on yourself and in a relationship. It's just a lot. It's a lot to deal
Yeah.
with, and it could be overwhelming at
Yeah.
times. But you have to
Yeah.
be willing to put in the work. That's what's important.
Absolutely. That actually answers my question on how do you sustain it? Because in addition to having a relationship with your husband, right, you've definitely
Hmm.
collaborated with him too in
Yeah.
the creative space. And so
Yes.
even that part of it, right? Because at that moment when you are entering the creative mindset, the creative space, like he's your husband, he knows you're
Mhm.
his wife, but
Mhm.
when you have to be in that mode, in that zone, right? How do you work through that while still working spiritually, right? But how do you work through that as a true partnership? Because there's very few people I know
Mhm.
that can actually say I legitimately have a partnership here with my
Yeah.
spouse and that they're successful and are
That's so
able
true.
to sustain that. So how has that been like for you as well?
For me, the reason why we mesh well together in partnership and creating is because we both work similarly. We're very
Mm.
disciplined in how we work. We're very organized. Um, we like things a certain way, but at the same time, we can bump heads because we both are controlling people.
Oh.
S- So we're both controlling. However, I'm a person that I know when I need to step away and when I know my place. I know if I need
Mm.
to, you know what, this is not my place to say this, or this is my place to say this. And the projects
Mm.
that we have been together on are projects that my husband started, and I said, you know what, I'll help out. So I already know my
Right.
place there. Yes, it's
Right.
ours. It was a team effort. We're co-creators, but at the end of the day, he started it, so it's still part of his. If you think about
Right.
it, and it's
Right.
learning for myself to know when to step away and when not to, and also giving ourselves space when we need to. If I need my
Right.
space, he needs his space. He's not on top of me. I'm not on top of him. So that's
Right.
very important, giving each other space. And even
Yeah.
now, like we've realized there were times that we were like constantly close together. We were like, wait a minute, we need to give each other space. And
Yeah.
that's like whoever's doing that, that's extremely like I would advise you have to give each other space. And no,
Right.
and because those are the two projects that we got involved in, I know how to work with him. And
Yeah.
we just learned like how to communicate with each other better. Of course, we're still learning and growing. I'm still working on my communication of how I communicate, and same as him. Like it just helped us learn about each other even more because we were
Mm.
able to work with one another, not only as husband and wife, but also as partners. And
Yeah.
of course, and in the beginning, it was just like, oh wait, I have to take out that he's not he's my partner right now. He's
Yes.
not this is
That's the
not.
part.
So sometimes it'll come in like, oh wait,
Yeah.
I'll bring in things of personal to the, and I'm like, wait a minute, I need to like
Yes.
back up and vice versa. So we would have to like learn how to separate that in the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was that was a lesson on its own.
Yeah.
But now where I'm at now is just I know that there's things that I have to give my space to and create things on my own as well. just like he's doing his things, he will create things on his own. We won't always
Yeah.
create together, but when we do create together, I think we do a great job of it.
Oh, without a doubt. Like
Yeah.
the podcast in itself for one, but
Oh,
two,
and we
um,
absolutely love the
yeah,
podcast, and I'm
yes,
so
yeah,
grateful. I was like, "Okay, I'm down." I'm so grateful that I said yes and that I started hosting, because at first I didn't wanna host, to be
yeah,
honest. I didn't wanna host. I was like, "I'll be behind the camera, I'll produce, I'll put things together," and then I started joining the hosting,
yeah, yeah,
when the pandemic happened, and I love it, I enjoy it. So now, the way how we separate it is we'll separate it. He'll interview people on his own, I'll interview people on my own. Or sometimes we'll interview people together. But now
yeah.
that's our way of kind of separating ourselves from it. We're still working together, but we're kind of like, okay, I'll interview that person, you interview that person, and we make it like,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
That is amazing. Honestly, I think it takes so much work for one to be able to do that, right? And to come to an understanding with your partner, but also it takes a lot more effort, maybe double or three times more effort to be that much individually self-aware of when you need to take, that step back and
Yeah.
still allow that space for the individuality
Yeah.
versus, the partnership. And that it is possible to have both.
Mm-hmm.
One more question to that
Yeah.
because then we're going to lead into the double or nothing.
Mm.
How does the professionalism look like for you when husband and wife might be at odds, but
Oh.
professionally the show must go on?
Oh. Well, we have great work ethic. That's what I must say about both of us. At work and our creative life, like, our work ethic is impeccable, and
Yeah.
whether or not we at odds, it will whatever needs to be done is gonna be taken care of. Even
Yes.
even the house stuff.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
we still have to take care of it. That has nothing to do with what we're going through personally. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
That's such an important thing because no shade to anybody. All right. Don't come for me. But I just being a divorcee, right? And
Yeah.
learning so much um of the things I did and things I probably should not have.
Yeah.
And even being able to have the conversation with the other side and go
Mhm.
through the apologies, right? And starting off on a clean slate because we do share a child, right? But
Mhm.
most importantly, for the purpose of, well, someday I'd want to have a partner again, and someday I'd want to be in a successful relationship and sustain it and have it really strong. And how do I get there? It's
Yeah.
part of learning from your past experiences, right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things I have no shame in admitting, and it's not just me because I know plenty of other people who fall under this.
Yeah.
My work ethic may not have been the best many years
Got
ago.
it. Hey.
I would not have known how to separate the two. One of the things, and I've shared it here on this platform, is when you share too much of what happens between the two of you with other people,
Yeah.
like with families
Yes,
where
right?
they could overstep those boundaries. And so when you think of being in business,
Mhm.
or creating from a very a different space other than husband and wife, right? Where you
Mhm.
have to have that work ethic and be professional because there might be other team members. You don't want things like that to affect other people or to
Exactly.
affect the goal in mind at the end of the day. And so I think it's important to still highlight that whether it is 15 years ago or today, marriages, relationships, of all kinds requires the work to just not only be able to know the other person, but know you first and foremost.
A
And
thousand
and and,
percent.
and I think too many times we think about, oh, I know him. I know what he's. Oh, I know her. We
Mhm.
focus too much on that, and
Mhm.
and and we lose the sight of, well, what about you?
What am I
Like,
doing? Yeah.
what are you doing or what are you not doing, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah, yeah,
can't
yeah.
control the other person, you can't
Nope.
control the other party. And I want to say the
Exactly.
other party because this is even in any type of other relationships that are not
Definitely.
necessarily romantic. It's like
Yeah.
I could sit here and go time and time again complaining about what X, Y, and Z did and how
Mhm.
frustrating that is and how annoying
Mhm.
that is, and they did
Mhm.
this and they did that. Or I could focus on what I can control with myself, and I
Exactly.
could focus on what I have done, how I can continue to do, right?
Mhm.
Without letting that affect my end goal. And that is
Yes.
where I wanted to highlight a little bit of what that looks like for you
1,000%.
in that moment.
Yeah.
I want
And
to go into
also
the
our
double. Yeah.
sorry, and
Go ahead
also
now.
what we created is like our child. So
Yeah.
why are we just because we are at odds, we're gonna that's like, oh, we are at odds. I'm not gonna take care of my daughter. Like that's how I see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You ever see when
Like you
couples
fuck,
fight?
I'm fuck, fuck you. You go fuck. You know what
No,
I mean?
right, right.
But there
Go to your
are,
father. Go to your father.
but if I,
Tell him. Tell him to change his
but
diaper.
there,
No, tell him to. No, this is real, guys. Okay, I've
so
seen this. I may have done it. The whole little thing, like, oh, I'm upset. I'm not gonna change. No, tell him to put you to bed. No, I'm not gonna do it. No,
well, you
you
know
take.
what? When you see that you're doing a lot and you're tired and you need your space and dad hasn't been doing anything or vice versa, then
Right.
yes, go ask your
Yes.
father to do it. That you have every
Yes.
right to do that. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
I do agree with that. It just ain't the kid's fault, y'all. And I'm
A
when
thousand
I say
percent is
y'all, I'm
not.
talking to me too because I kind of did that. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I did. It was yeah. I was like, "Oh, you want to come home late? Oh, okay.
Okay.
There, you
The
do it." And I would just like walk away. It was terrible. Nobody tell my kid, but it was terrible. But yeah, okay. So going into the double or nothing, y'all. If my kid hears this, gonna be like, "Damn, you messed up."
how old is your kid?
He's
He
15.
oh, 15.
But
Okay.
he knows. He
He
knows how his mother
knows.
is. He knows
Okay.
how his mother was, and he knows who his mother is today.
Oh, that's
And
great.
one of the things with one of my goals with him right now, because I'm a very strong person
Mhm.
in the sense that when I make up my mind about something, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. I could be
sometimes
like
that's
that.
at a fault.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
I'm gonna admit
I could be like
I
that
don't
too,
want him
yeah.
to be that way though. And
Got it.
so I try and shift things with him a little bit. And I'm very honest with him in the sense, like, don't be like me with
Mm.
this. It's really hard for me to shift away from this. I
Mm.
try sometimes, I try, and then, like the wrong thing happens and then I just go off, right? But don't be like me. Like I tell him, like, what I've learned people can do. And I try to do it sometimes, but it doesn't always work for who
Yeah.
I am today.
Yeah, yeah,
But for
yeah.
you, you're still young. You can still put in the work, try and pay attention to this and do things this way, do things a little different from how your mother does it. Because I am so strong in character and because of who I am,
Mhm.
who he is very similar.
Yeah.
So I don't see nothing wrong with it.
No, I
And
don't
I
think
don't
there's nothing wrong.
see like, oh my God, like why are you I don't see that. But now you ask his dad will be like, he's just like you. Like, what the fuck? And so it's like, I'm sorry. Like, I raised him. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, I know. He's
I
worried
got
about
sole
that.
custody,
You think
full custody. What you want me to
exactly.
like, what you want me to do?
What do you want
Like,
me to do? Hello?
like the judge didn't tell me how to do
That's
this part.
he's
He
around
just
you 24/7. Like, what do you want?
so that part has been a little difficult.
Okay.
But like any moment that I get when it comes to my kid, I always try. He's very much so in the church. He is in Catholic school, right?
Okay.
And the reason why I put him in there, and I've said this here before, is for the purpose of discipline. There's certain
Yeah.
disciplines that I like.
Mhm.
He could tomorrow, decide to change his religion
Yeah.
or just go
Yeah.
be guided more so spiritually. He's also very in tune spiritually as well. He is.
Okay. Okay.
And so for him, though, what I always try to instill in him coming from, what society calls a broken home because his parents are
Yeah.
divorced. I always try to instill in him any moment that he can to teach him from the lens of a woman. And so
Yeah.
certain things I try to explain, like, you should do things this way so that, you're telling me you're interested in women, great. You're interested
Mhm.
in females, great. But someday you want to make sure that your partner is happy with these things. Sometimes we see things this way.
Mm.
You have to be able to get to know that person,
Mm.
us women sometimes, and I'll go into conversations like that, you know, because if I could do something, like I can't teach you
Hey,
from the lens of a man, but I
but at
can
least
I
you
can
can see the
explain certain things,
why women do
f-
certain things.
why women do certain things.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse, right?
No.
It's just putting it out there. Some of the dumb shit your mama did and some of the smarter shit your mama did.
Yeah.
And this is me as a woman, and so I
Mhm.
try to keep it all the way raw with him in the
That's
spirit
great.
of this podcast. I
Yeah.
try. Um and then there's some things that I just can't teach at all because
Of
I am just
course.
not a man, right? But
Exactly.
I try. I try.
Yeah.
I try for the concept of, what is to be quote unquote normalized or what should be normalized.
Yeah.
I try and break certain vicious cycles. I try very much so to focus on everything that I didn't like from my very perfectly imperfect parents
Yeah.
and try not to be a hypocrite and not repeat the same story. Because who the fuck am I
Exactly.
to sit there and say, well, y'all did this, so y'all didn't do that, but here I am doing the same shit, right?
Exactly.
So I try to break away from that and really make that my focus. And along the way, ladies and gentlemen, I've definitely learned that I fucked up a few times still. And so we've
Hey,
also had
that's
those
how we learn and
conversations.
grow. Yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, if we choose to, because some people fuck up and they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and
So,
they don't.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And they
know.
keep
But
doing it.
perfect
But,
segue going into the double or nothing, because
okay.
now I want to highlight, now that we've discussed what this journey spiritually has looked like for you, I
Mm-hmm.
want to take it back a little bit and take it
Okay.
all the way back to what childhood was like for you and what that upbringing was like for you.
Mm.
So we know a little bit about growing up in the church and
Okay.
growing up
Church. Yes.
Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
but what more in your experiences with your childhood growing up Latina or even
Yes.
traditions
Mm-hmm.
has impacted, and it could be any form of impact,
Mm-hmm.
to who you are today and your current journey?
Oh, I would say a big thing that I learned in my family is community.
Mm,
Um Giving to others, the humbleness, being grounded.
mm,
Don't forget where you
mm,
came from. The culture, the food, the music, that's very important to me. I carry it to the day to this day. The language, I speak Spanish and I'm also I speak Spanish to my daughter because I want her to speak Spanish too. So that's very important to me to keep that, the language and the
yes.
culture thriving. Um and yeah, family is very important to me too. And my parents instilled that highly in our family. Our family wasn't perfect, we didn't communicate well with each other, but at the end of the day, when shit hit the fan, we were all there for each other. And I feel
Mm,
like that's very important. But at the same time, honesty is very important, and that's something that I learned on my own, within myself, as time went on, and I
mm,
was able to show that to my parents, like, it's okay to say I love you or give each other a hug and stuff like that. But also understanding that uh, that our parents are human and they
mm,
only know what they know based on how they were raised. So I
mm,
learned that I cannot judge them for certain things that they did or how they were, because that's all they knew.
mm,
And that's a big lesson I learned, especially like my father passed away this year, and we didn't have like what, how you say daddy's little girl. I didn't have that with my dad.
mm,
But
mhm,
as I got older, we had a great relationship. He loved my daughter so much. But he taught me, like with his death, he taught me how important it is to love yourself, to be
mm,
honest with yourself. And despite the fact that you're helping others, also bring it to yourself too. And
mm,
and don't stay quiet. Like if you're hurting, or if you know how in our culture a lot of the men don't like to say, they don't want like to go to the doctor. Oh no, I'm not going to the
mhm,
doctor. I'm not in this and that and this and that, and they keep it to themselves. Don't suffer alone. You have people who care for you and love you. Don't suffer alone. Allow
mm,
yourself to communicate and be honest. So
yes.
those are things that I've learned growing up and as a child as well.
Yeah. I love
Hmm.
that you said that. And I'm getting a little choked up.
Yeah.
For one, because I've actually went through that recently with my
Mm.
father, in the
Yeah.
sense that it took a health scare for, I always say, oh, I'm daddy's girl, but I'm daddy's girl, y'all, because I get away with shit. Like, that's the truth. It's not because like, oh, he adores me, like,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
he
yeah.
hugged. My dad don't hug. He don't say I love you.
Yeah, yeah.
I get a side hug for Mother's Day or my birthday, girl. Like yeah,
Yeah.
that's my dad, right?
Right?
That's the whole family of my dad's side, to be
Yeah.
honest. But it's terrible. I know, Jesus, but I've always recognized this, the grandfather that he is
Mhm.
priceless. You know,
That's how my
who he
father
has
was.
been to my son and to
Oh,
this. Ah, it's just like, damn, like, I
yeah.
wish. Sometimes I look and I'm like, I wish he would have been that type of a
Oh my
dad,
god, same here. Yeah.
with me, but
Yeah.
I love that I've been able to witness this,
Yep.
to see the bond that he has with my son, um, who he is around his grandchildren is beautiful,
Mm.
and the same goes with my mom.
Mhm.
But my dad, coming from, the typical Latino man,
Yeah.
doesn't go to the doctor or hides it
Yeah.
or keeps it quiet. We had a moment with him this summer that was very scary for us.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's definitely prompted a few changes from him. And I'm very proud of him. And
Oh,
shout out
that's
to Marco because
great.
my dad has lost weight. He's taking care of himself.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
it's
That's
just a
so
whole
wonderful.
different, yes, it's so different the work he's doing even for himself, right? And there's other hurdles here and there, but I admire so much who he is today in
Mhm.
his age and how he stands so strong
Mhm.
in what he believes in his
Yeah.
voice. And that's one thing. This may sound corny to people, and I've said it here on the show before. you know my confidence that I have comes from different sides, different levels, different moments in life, but one of them, and I attribute it so much to who my parents raised me to be, even through some of my worst mistakes,
Mm.
who they raised me to be. I just needed a reminder here and there, but
Yeah.
it's that has helped me be that confident person. And I'm glad that you highlighted this, and I'm so sorry about your father,
Thank you.
but it's a beautiful thing what
Mhm.
you've been able to take from
Mhm.
your stronger bond with him in the your older age with him, and even
Mhm.
this moment, to his last moments, and what you've been able to learn from that piece, and take
Mhm.
with you. And another thing I want to highlight, and I thank you so much, this is why I say everything is always so meant
Mm.
to be, and this is why I'm getting choked up in this moment, to hear you say just how much awareness you had to put into giving your parents grace
Mhm.
because of all they've ever known.
Mhm.
And sometimes this is why I said it would be more on me to make the same mistakes
Yeah.
knowing what I know, right? Because I didn't have
Exactly.
the same upbringing they did. So what is
Mhm.
my reason to be that person or make those same, concerning decisions, if not to call them
Mm.
mistakes? You know, who the fuck am I to
Right.
do the same thing here,
Right,
right? When
right.
I'm being raised in a different environment, in a different situation, in a different circumstance, right? And so I appreciate you highlighting that because it's so relevant
Thank
for
you.
me right now in this moment. And
Mm.
now I really hope some of y'all listening, and I'm gonna leave this shit right here in case y'all all being nosy and listening, because some of y'all need to listen to this specific part of the episode, and I
That's
hope it
right.
resonates. And then when you're an asshole about it, you could, tell me,
Yeah,
oh, was
look
that
back.
about me? Yeah, it was. But the point is here, sometimes we I'm the worst, Alex.
I
But
love it.
sometimes, you know, what has helped me get to that point too, just like you, has been coming into this role of being a mom and
Mhm.
understanding it through that lens. And it's
Yeah.
not to excuse anyone. That's not what this
No.
is. It's just
Yeah.
really, I talk so much here on this platform about giving myself grace and space and
That's
giving other
right.
people that. I would think that I could do
And
that for my
taking
parents too,
responsibility.
to a certain
Yeah.
extent. Yes, yes. And I am in that comfort space to speak up and be able to point certain things out, for example, to both my parents and say,
Mm.
you may have done wrong here and you definitely did wrong
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
but we learn from it. We got to move on from it and move forward from it, right? And so
Exactly.
we got to make sure you don't do that again. And I definitely have to make sure I don't commit those same fucked up decisions, right?
Exactly.
Especially if I'm the one who's here criticizing it, or frowning upon them. So I very
Exactly.
much so appreciate you opening up so much with that and
Thank
sharing
you.
that piece with us, because I think you definitely delivered a very strong message there that plenty of
Mm.
people need to hear sometimes. Um, what does it look like for you,
Mhm.
the experience of growing
Mhm.
while feeling loss? What does that look like for you?
Oh,
How has that been
I'm
for you?
still
That part specifically.
I'm gonna cry.
No, don't cry.
'Cause I'm still grieving,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but growing at the same time.
Yes.
Um, and I say grieving not spiritually because spiritually, I'm at peace.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is I know death is not the end of it all. I know
Mm,
that my father is at peace because he's no longer suffering.
right.
And I've gotten messages that I only know myself that it's him telling me he's okay. You get
Yes.
messages everywhere, whether it's something you see, a song or a
Mhm.
symbol that you know, but you know that it's him telling you he's okay. So, in that aspect, I'm at peace. But of course, I'm
Mhm.
human, so
Mhm.
the grieving process is what do you call that? You don't know. One day you're fine, and one day you start crying, or you see a picture and you cry, and then you're fine.
Right.
Um, but through this all, I've my growth and still growing, I feel like it's been amazing. It's
Mhm.
been challenging. It's brought anxiety. It's brought gratitude within it all. Um, and I'm just like you said earlier, I'm just allowing myself to give myself grace. Like if I
Mm.
have to go through something, go through it, feel it, don't be afraid, let it go. Do what I have to do. Like if I'm at work, if I'm stressed, I step away to something that I love. And right now I'm in
Mhm.
the moment that I have kind of stepped away from my creativity, stuff that I love to do
Mhm.
creatively,
Mhm.
that I know that
Mhm.
I have to go back to it because that is my passion and that's what keeps
Mhm.
me going even more besides my daughter and my husband and everything else that's in my life. But that's
Yeah.
also mine too. So, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I
Yes,
hope that answered your question.
absolutely.
Did I answer your
It
question?
does. It
Okay.
absolutely does. Because that's exactly what reflects the balancing act as a human being, to be able to still feel loss while we're still in the moment of growing and feel all other things. To
Mhm.
your point, one moment we're fine, and the next we hear that one fucking song and I'm crying. Well, not me. If y'all know my sister Patty, she cry over everything. Lord Jesus, if the pin drops and it sounded exactly how it sounded that time she was at grandma's house. Oh my God, my sister cries. And then like I be trying not to cry, but then she be getting in my emotions. But Patty
Then you both
cries.
cry.
Dios santo, my God,
Oh,
a pin, y'all, a pin will drop
wow.
and she cries. But
Wow,
you know
wow,
what
wow.
it is though? I like to say that my sister, like I always say, why are you about to cry? And she's like, I don't know. I'm just,
Imagine
and
when
I
she was
like to
did she have kids?
she does,
Does
oh girl, Lord Jesus, she got two
'Cause I'm like
kids and
so imagine when she was pregnant, forget it was the worst. Cause when you're
I was
pregnant, forget it.
there. No, I was there.
You can't remember
So
your
she had
hormones
kids
are
back
all
to
over the
back,
Oh
like June
god.
2005 and June 2006. They
Oh, wow.
recognized her in the hospital. When she rolled in the second time, they was like, "Oh, you're back," because of how impactful she is emotionally. Like the whole hospital
Wow.
recognized her. Yeah, no,
Wow,
it's
that's aw
serious. But I will say this. I will shout out to my sister. I will say this.
Shout out to your
I,
sister.
I yeah, shout
Hey.
out to my sister Patty. But I hope that someday, it's not always the best feeling. I worry sometimes of I have experienced loss in my life, but I worry
Yeah,
sometimes of what that would look like. And not that I'm calling on it, Lord,
yeah,
my universe. That's not what I'm calling on.
yeah,
It's just facing that someday I will be in a position of a loss that I know is
yeah,
going to be heartbreaking. And I worry sometimes that because
yeah.
of the feel that I'm in, I've been so
Mm.
desensitized on what that feels like.
Oh, I see what you okay.
And when I see my sister cry over a pin drop, um,
You're like,
I sometimes sit there and I'm like, I really hope I could continue to feel it from her. I really
got
hope
it.
that while sometimes I'm like, why are you crying, Patty? Here we go again.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
hope she never stops. I hope she's always
Oh,
so in tune with her emotions
mhm.
that at least through her,
You
I
can.
can feel that much, and
Got
that
it.
I never lose that piece, because it,
Okay.
it has felt like a loss for me, the
Mhm.
part where that feeling just doesn't immediately get ignited, and
Interesting.
there's very few times that it does. And not that I'm looking to cry out of sadness.
No, because
I
everybody
don't.
grieves different. Some people don't cry at
Right.
all.
Some people don't cry at all, but
Yeah.
I just
So
want to make sure I haven't lost that, and I
okay,
want to be able to still feel that. And so if I could feel it when I see my sister crying, I'll feel it and I'll embrace it, right?
got it.
But it's an awakening, and it's a rude awakening for some, definitely an awakening for sure.
Mhm.
When experiences that we may go through, sometimes more than once,
Yeah,
at different frequencies, how much that can impact our ability to feel, right?
that's
But
right.
one of the things I want to close this segment with, and we'll close this out as the last question for you for this segment. It's one thing to feel, and it's another to take all those feelings and take all those experiences and be able to teach. And
Mm,
so one of the one of the most tremendous roles of yours is motherhood, and
yeah.
your baby's beautiful, and you do
Thank
such an
you.
amazing job in this.
Thank you.
um, what do you hope from your entire life?
Mhm.
What have you taken away from it that you know for sure you would want to teach your daughter?
Um, to always be honest with herself
Mm.
and never lose connection to her light.
Oof,
That's very important. No matter what
that's
she wants
beautiful.
to explore and discover, and because children, you're going to want to discover the good and the bad, but to always
Hmm.
remember where she comes from and that light that she has within her. I don't want her to forget how special she is, and that's important.
Yes. Oh, that was
Hmm.
beautiful. Oof, I love
Thank
that.
you.
I love that. All right, we're gonna go into the last segment, and this is the overdose. And here we share. This is like the lesser of the messiness.
Okay.
But during the overdose,
Ooh,
it's
the
the
overdose.
lesser. During this, yeah, for the record, I was supposed to change the name of the segment because healthcare over. It
Oh,
was
I was
not
gonna say.
like very nice. And then I shared it with somebody. Somebody was like, "Relax, it's a segment name. Like,
It's just
calm
I know,
down."
right? It's not a you're not
I
drunk.
was
You're
like,
not taking drugs.
am I fucked up? Like, it sounds a little insensitive. See, I'm desensitized. Like, this is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
problem. It's just, I don't know. He was like, nah, leave it. It's all right.
It's good.
But
It's good.
during the overdose, during the segment, we will share something, anything we are overjoyed with or completely over it. And when I
Okay.
tell you it could be anything, it could be anything.
Overjoyed or over both? Am I giving you both
One or
answers?
the other, or you
Oh,
could give
okay.
both. Yeah.
Oh, damn. Overdone.
Mm.
What am I overdone? I'm overdone with the I don't know if this is a word, but the unkindness of this world, if that's even a
The way the
word.
what?
The
Which one?
how a lot of people in this world are not kind. Like
Oh.
treat
Oh.
I'm done with treat others how you would like to be treated. Like, can you just isn't that simple? Does that make sense to
No,
what
it
I my point?
does. It
Like, I'm
does.
done with that. Like, I'm done. Like, come on, we're just fucking human beings. Like, let's
Yeah.
just treat each other with respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Let me say this.
That's like I'm
Hold
done. I'm
on.
fucking done
It
with
does.
that shit.
It does.
You
Let me
know?
tell you.
Like,
Okay,
what
so
the
I felt
fuck?
that. I felt that in the base of the microphone where she said, "I'm done.
What the
I'm
fuck?
done." Like I felt
Yeah,
that. Like
I'ma
it was
add that.
deep. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with
So
that
let me
said, I'm
say this.
overjoyed with the kindness that exists in this world. I love that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to highlight the fact that you said respecting each other. And
Mhm.
again, I cannot emphasize enough the purpose behind things aligning. I
Mhm.
listened to a podcast. It's a known podcast.
Yeah.
No, this is not an ad. But Drink Champs with
Oh, okay,
Noriega.
yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I was catching up because his episodes be
Yeah.
like 3 plus hours. So I
Yeah,
need time.
they like this freaking movie. It's like a Marvel
Yeah.
movie.
Like it's like a whole shift. Three
Yeah,
episodes
yeah,
is like a
yeah.
whole shift. And I be busy
I
working.
have to watch
So
the clips.
yeah.
Unless it's
So
someone I really like, I like, okay, I gotta watch this while I'm
right,
working
right, right.
or doing something.
Right. But in Drink Champs, I caught on to the episodes. And one of the
Yeah.
questions he has in his little game of like kind of like this or that,
Yeah.
he says loyalty and respect. And
Mm.
in three of the episodes I was catching up on, they all said loyalty. And the
Mm.
reason why they said loyalty was because, in one way or another, to them, it all circled back to respect.
That's so true. Yep.
And so to your point, and it's
That's
so
so
funny because
true.
I always say loyalty, that I want that above all. But it's
Mhm.
because I wholeheartedly believe that that always does lead back to respect.
Mhm.
It does. It's like a full circle,
Yeah.
right? And so for you to say the respect, what if we did live in a world where we all knew how to respect one another? You know,
Jeez.
that would look like loyalty to one another. Maybe not, but at least you're loyal to yourself, to know how kind you are to others, to
Mhm.
know that you can share mutual respect. Because to your
Mhm.
point, I would like to treat I would like people to treat me how I treat them. And so if my goal is to treat them with respect, that is a level of loyalty to just life. It's a level of
Yeah.
loyalty to what I believe in. It's a
Mhm.
level of loyalty to just human, human,
Exactly. I mean,
human
like, you don't
beings.
have to like everyone, and
Right.
it's okay to, agree to disagree,
Agree.
but respect is important. Just at the end of the
Yes.
day, that's it.
Yes. And today is election day. And let me just say, some of
And
y'all
that's another reason
need to
why I'm just
know.
done.
Some of y'all need to know how to respect
Tell
people's
me about it.
decisions.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just saying, because it was a little tense in some of these election lines. I
Oh
just want
my
to say.
you
It,
see?
it was. It
That's where
was.
it
I
all
will say
came from.
that.
I thought the election, then I was like, respect. Like, what the
We do.
Yeah.
I don't agree with most, but I mean,
Yeah.
keep it moving. Just keep it respectful, and that's it.
Mhm.
Thank you for shining light on that, because that is
You're
definitely,
welcome.
some of us don't have that. So yeah.
No.
Something that I am completely overjoyed with.
Mhm.
Again, this is not an ad. And I'm not gonna put the name out there, but it's actually another like public figure. She's a
Mhm.
singer, another podcaster, very known.
Mhm.
She was running a marathon this weekend, not a marathon. First of all, let me put a little bit of respect on New York City, the New York City
The New York
Marathon.
City
Uh,
Marathon.
yes, right. She was running that one. So let me put
Oh.
respect on that. And it was beautiful to see all her friends who are also in the public space, media
Mhm.
space, podcasting space. They were sharing all of her miles that she was accomplishing.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
it was beautiful to see that. It's like when you tune into people like every week, it's like they become your friends in like the years.
That's
Like,
so
so
true,
yeah.
that's true.
Yeah,
That's so
so
true.
I mean, yeah, she's like my homie, but she she had been explaining the journey of like preparing for this, right? Preparing for
Mhm.
this marathon, preparing for the goal of getting to the finish line. So I just found that to be so inspiring, right? Of
Mhm.
of how much we prepare for whatever our goals are, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to share how overjoyed I am with this, because what we've been listening to, me as a listener of this show and hearing what she says, I wholeheartedly do feel that she's very honest about her opinions and just where she stands with her life experiences, and vulnerable things she has shared. And what was so
Mhm.
beautiful about this is that after the marathon happened
Yeah.
and her significant other was there, he proposed to her. And they shared this also on social media for us to see. And it was just
Oh.
so beautiful. And of course, I cry like a baby, because I cry when I see people in love and
See,
they
you
get together,
cry.
right? I
You're
do.
not
That's the one part.
desensitized?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I mean, mostly for movies like The Bodyguard. I very much so
Oh,
still
of
cry
course.
every
Yeah,
time I watch that
me
damn
too.
movie. But I do cry for certain things, but it was beautiful to see that. What was so beautiful about that was that she was very vulnerable in one of the episodes. And she
Yeah.
was so honest. She was
Mm.
honest about
Mm.
her fears, honest about
Mm.
where she is and where she wants to keep going. She's been
Mm.
honest about certain goals, and not necessarily
Yeah,
giving us all the ins and outs of it, right?
of
But
course.
she's just been very truthful. And so to see how much that moment has aligned with what she has shared with us,
Oh,
to
got it.
see such a beautiful ending that complements so much of her honesty. To
Mhm.
me in that moment, I was so overjoyed with that, because for me personally, I've
Mhm.
made it a very spiritual goal of mine
Mhm.
to remain very truthful to myself,
Mm.
very honest with myself, of the
Mhm.
things that I want, the things that I don't want, and for the things that I want, how I'm going to get them, how I'm
Nice.
going to get there, with the intentions, with the
Mm.
purpose behind all of it.
Mm.
And it was a moment of overjoyment, in the sense that when you are very true to yourself,
Yeah.
when you are so respectful to who you are, loyal to yourself, when you're that in tune spiritually.
Mhm.
I can't say it's perfect, but
No.
I will say that you see things happening for you. You see
A
them
thousand
happening for
percent.
you, how
Yeah.
you envision them, how you see them coming. Um, I've dived so deep into visualization,
Yeah.
truly visualizing me in
Mhm.
certain spaces and certain end goals. And I'm working so hard towards that. And so while it may be just an engagement of a marathoner to some,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
was a
yeah.
bigger picture that I saw in that
Wow, that's
moment.
powerful.
Yes, it very much so was. And for me in that moment, it's like, when you really, really put that work in for you, when you're really
Mhm.
dedicated to you, when you really pour so much, sure you pour into others, but you still remember to pour into you, beautiful things do happen. Beautiful
Yes.
things that align with
Yes.
what you want in life.
Mm.
And I'm so overjoyed with that moment and so overjoyed just in general with all the work that I know I've put in, but also, and if any of my listeners can relate to this, but also some of my listeners that I know personally are going through the same journey, are doing the
Mhm.
work, are pouring into themselves,
Mhm.
are discovering so many new focuses and in love and success and careers
Yeah.
and creative spaces with their mindsets and what's in their heart. Keep going. There's so
Yeah.
much to be overjoyed with in that. Keep going. Trust the entire process, but trust in knowing that it's you doing the work. You're not just
Yep.
waiting for someone to come knock on the door and say, "Here, let me hand this
Mhm.
all to you." That's not
Nope,
how it
you gotta
works.
earn it.
You
And
got to
also
earn it.
remember where always look back. Don't be always look back like, oh, of every how far you've come. Because a lot of times
Mm,
we could be hard on ourselves and be like, oh,
yeah.
look how far you've come. Look at yourself in the mirror and be like, wow, look at how much have I done for myself.
Yes. Yes.
And give yourself grace. When
Yes.
you feel like, oh, it's a shitty day. Hey, it's sometimes there is a shitty day, but don't drown yourself in that shitty day. Pick
Yes,
yourself up and be
absolutely.
like, "You know what? I did this. Pa pa pa," you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true. This has been a beautiful conversation
Oh,
with
man.
you.
Me
I am
too.
so happy we did this. I
Me
am so happy it
too.
was today, during the season, during this time,
Election day,
because
bring some positivity.
election election day,
Who cares?
post me having a meltdown with like my family,
Oh my gosh.
resting bitch face and all, guys.
I
Like,
know.
what can I tell you?
That's right, it was a lunar eclipse last night, this morning or last night, whatever.
I
Yeah.
saw. I saw. You know what I also want to give a quick shout out to, because and it's, knock on wood, thank you to my universe, thank you to God for this.
Mhm.
To the spirit and power of alignment, and will definitely lead into, once I share this with my
Mm.
listeners, will lead into where you guys can follow Alex. But you know, to the point of giving ourselves grace and
Mhm.
space,
Mhm.
you know, remaining that focus. Let me just share a testament to what it's been like for me.
Wow.
I shared here that I went for an opportunity that evolved into something greater in many aspects, which has been beautiful.
Nice.
And I'm 3 months in, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And I'm so grateful for everything that I'm learning. And I'm so grateful just for the grace and space I've given myself, even with just, not recording for 2 weeks, and my
Yeah.
listeners being supportive and sliding in the DMs like, girl, what happened this week?
Yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah.
recently, my leadership came and said, hey, we think you've done a great job. We would
Mm.
like to offer you this different opportunity. And the opportunity in itself doesn't shift much, it doesn't change much.
Mhm.
I'll explain what that opportunity is. The opportunity was, we know your work ethic so far.
Mm.
Everything has been nothing but exceptional. We think you deserve this grace and space. So we are agreeing to this. And so your girl is able to sit out one day of work from home. And
Wow.
that is so huge.
That
It's
is
so
huge.
huge. Okay, in the industry that I'm in,
Of course, because you have to
in
be
the
there.
particular right, in the particular field that I'm in, to be given that much of trust that has been earned, the level of
That's right.
respect I've been able to earn in this, it's a huge piece, because A lot of people will say, no, give me more money or give me this. And that's
Yeah.
cool. No
Mhm.
judgments on that.
Mhm.
But when you get a little bit of time back or a little bit of comfort back and understanding,
Mhm.
that is
Oh, that's
amazing.
priceless.
That's priceless too. For
Yeah.
some of us, that's important too.
That's right.
And the reason why I wanted to share that was because that's the level of grace and space I'm trying to give myself where others understand that too.
Oh, that's
Regardless of who others are. I
mm.
need others to also understand that, and I'm very happy
Wow.
and
Congrats,
grateful.
man.
Thank you that this is where my life is
Mm.
continuing to lead, and I didn't have to even ask for it. The work, who I am, has
Yes.
just
You
demonstrated
earned it,
it,
man.
and it's wow. I'm just really
Wow,
grateful
that's
for that. So
awesome. I'm so
yeah.
happy and proud of you,
Yes.
man.
Yes. I wanted to share that here because it's worth it.
Oh,
It's worth sharing
it
some good
sure
news.
is, man.
Yes,
That's
absolutely. Okay,
awesome.
so
I'm
that was a
really,
double
really
dose on overjoyments. There you
double
go. Hi guys, a double dose.
dose.
But you guys know where to find me. So Alex, can you share with my listeners where they could find you?
Sure, you can find me on Instagram. It's at Alexa Cloud 13, and you can also find me on the at the Win and Cloud podcast. And we also have a web series. I'm going to shout out the web series called DAD-rahpy, DAD-rahpy,
Yes.
and you can watch it on
Yes.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and yeah. And some festival circuits have been screening it as well.
They sure have, and I will be
Mm-hmm.
linking everything in the show notes, but they have
Yes, thank you.
congratulations
Thank you so
on that
much.
amazing work you guys have been doing for you as well. And I always say this, my guys, this is not always the last time they come on, y'all. I always have repeats here. So I mean, next time
We'll be
we're just
back.
gonna have the spiritual sancocho on, and then like it's gonna be like the best perfect duo on the show. I'm gonna need to have both of you on. I
That'll be
swear,
dope.
that's what we're gonna need to do. That's it.
That'll
Well,
be
thank you
fun.
so much for I
Thank
know it will
you.
be. No, this has been amazing.
No,
I'm so
thank you,
grateful for you
man.
coming on, and this feels good. This is
Oh,
a
it sure
really
does.
good
I needed this,
episode.
and I just want to thank
Yes.
you so much for the opportunity, for calling me in, and highlighting a little bit of me. And I'm really grateful and
Yes.
honored. I learned a lot about you too, so it was
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. And as always, this has been another week and another episode on Double Dose of Raw Talk podcast. I am your host, Misty, and you guys will tune in next week. Bye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And we are live on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Make sure to tell a friend to subscribe, rate, and review. Talk to you later. Bye.